Let's talk about something that gives most of us that sinking feeling in our stomach: public speaking. But what if I told you all that nervous energy, that feeling of dread, could actually be turned into a super focused, powerful performance? Well, it absolutely can. And today, we're going to walk through the exact checklist to make that happen. Let's dive in.
Oh, yeah, you know the feeling. Your heart starts hammering against your ribs, your palms get sweaty, and suddenly it feels like your brain just shuts down. It happens to everyone. It doesn't matter if you're talking to 5 people in a meeting or 1,000 people in an auditorium. But here's the thing, that feeling isn't a warning sign to panic. It's just your body's natural fight or flight response kicking into gear. It's raw energy, that's all. The secret is learning how to grab that energy and point it in the right direction. And in this explainer, we're going to give you the roadmap to do exactly that, to turn that fear into pure focus. And here it is. This is our guide for the whole journey. This mind map covers everything, from the very first steps of preparation all the way to long-term skill building. Just think of it as your personal checklist for success. So let's jump right in and break down the most important parts together. First things first, the foundation. You know, a truly amazing speech doesn't just happen on the spot. It's built piece by piece long before you ever get in front of an audience. And this prep work, it's not just about what you're going to say, it's about building the rock-solid confidence you need to say it well. The whole prep phase really boils down to 3 simple core steps. First, you figure out your why. Then, you structure your what. And finally, you create the visuals that are going to make your message pop. Following this flow takes all the chaos out of getting ready and just gives you a clear path, which is honestly the first major step to calming those nerves. Okay, so let's start with purpose. Who are you actually talking to? What do they already know? What do they expect to hear from you? Answering these questions helps you lock in your goal. I mean, think about it. Informing a room of experts is a completely different game with totally different data than trying to persuade a skeptical board. Every single choice you make from this point on flows from this one decision. All right, next up, structure. Think back to the last talk that really grabbed your attention. I'll bet you anything it didn't start with, "Hi, my name is..." No way. It started with a hook, a shocking statistic, a really good question, or a story that just made you lean in and listen. Then the body of the talk needs to flow logically, with real evidence to back up your points. And please remember, your conclusion isn't just you trailing off, it's your last best chance to drive your point home and call your audience to action. So you've got a solid foundation. Now it's time to practice. And look, the goal here is not to memorize your speech word for word. That can actually make you sound like a robot. The real goal is to internalize your message so well that you can talk about it with real, authentic confidence. Let's get into how to do that. This right here, this is a total game changer. Your goal up there is not perfection, it's connection. There's even this psychological thing called the pratfall effect, and it basically shows that when someone who's clearly competent makes a little mistake, people actually see them as more human and more likable. So a tiny stumble can actually work in your favor. Give yourself permission to be human. So, what does effective practice actually look like? Well, it's not just mumbling your notes to yourself. Running through it with a friend gives you instant feedback on whether your ideas are actually landing. And recording yourself, I know, it feels awkward, but it is the single fastest way to catch all your ums and ahs and nervous fidgets. It's like a cheat code for getting better, because you finally see what your audience sees. In those few minutes right before you go on, that nervous energy is gonna be peaking. This is where you take back control. Deep, slow breathing isn't just some calming trick, it's a biological hack. It literally activates the part of your nervous system that calms you down and pushes back against stress. Pair that with some positive self-talk and a quick voice warm-up, and you're getting your mind and body primed to perform. All right, you've prepared, you've practiced, you've calmed your nerves. Now it is showtime. This is all about performance, using your body, your voice, everything to make an impact. And just as important, it's about being ready for anything, whether it's a tricky question or a projector that decides to quit on you. Let's break it down. You know, before you even say a single word, your body is already talking. This slide basically shows that silent conversation. Over on the left, you see confidence. Open gestures say, "I'm bringing you in." Eye contact says, "I'm connecting with you." On the right, that's anxiety. The goal is to make sure your physical message is powerfully backing up your verbal one.
Your voice is your single most powerful instrument, so please avoid that dreaded monotone. Vary your pitch, your volume, just keep it interesting. And you have to learn to love the pause. Seriously, if you lose your place or catch yourself saying, just stop, take a breath. That silence feels like an eternity to you, but to the audience, it just looks like you're confident and collecting your thoughts. It's your secret reset button. A great speech is a conversation, not a lecture. And the key to any good conversation is adapting. So what if the tech dies? Acknowledge it, maybe share a quick laugh, and just move on. What if you get a really tough question? Thank them for it. That's a great question. Pause for a second, and then give a concise answer. And if you don't know, just say you don't know. Honesty builds way more trust than a fumbled guess ever will. Okay, so you've delivered your final line, the applause fades, your speech is over. Time to kick back and relax, right? Well, not quite. The best speakers on the planet know that the real lasting growth happens after the presentation is finished.
You want to treat every single speech as a chance to learn. And this is the loop that makes it happen. Self-reflection is your private debrief. What went well, what didn't. Asking someone you trust for feedback, that's your market research. And watching other great speakers, that's your ongoing masterclass. This cycle is what separates the good speakers from the truly great ones.
Look, if you're serious about getting great at this, you've got to put in the reps. You don't get stronger by just thinking about going to the gym. You get stronger by actually going. Groups like Toastmasters give you a safe place to practice. Start small. Volunteer to get that 5-minute update in your next team meeting. Every single opportunity, big or small, is a rep that builds your strength for the bigger stages. So, if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Public speaking is not some magical talent you're either born with or you're not. It is 100% a skill. And just like any other skill, it gets better with practice, with honest feedback, and with the simple guts to get up and do it again. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. What is the one small, simple step you're going to take for your very next presentation? Maybe it's just practicing out loud one time with a friend. Or maybe it's just taking 5 deep breaths before you start. Whatever it is, that first step is where the journey from fear to focus really begins.